So in optional, they just organize it little bit in technical manner. You can score 300 plus easy. Once you logically organize the entire syllabus, then it automatically gets reduced around 30-35%. IR paper is a key to score high.
A warm welcome to our interview session. Today we'll be discussing about one of the most sought after and trending optional subject, that is political science and international relations. We are honored to have with us Dr. Piyush Chaubey. He is a Ph.D. in political science from JNU, has mentored more than 1,000 successful students and has over a decade of teaching experience. Welcome, sir.
Big hello to all of my listeners.
So to start with, I would like to ask you, what is the role of optional subject in Civil Services Examination and how should a student select any particular optional subject?
A very good question, in fact. I would like to answer it in two perspectives. It's within civil services and beyond civil services, basically. So when a student prepare optional subject, the amount of time a student devote to that is relatively a good amount of time, and the depthness is very much into that. Mm-hmm. So once an optional subject get prepared by a student thoroughly, so more or less he or she just become an expert of that subject. I mean, if you compare with the general studies, the depth knowledge what a student is having of the optional, that is not the level of the general studies. So technically, even his or her knowledge are useful throughout of his or her life. So it go beyond UPSC. It go beyond UPSC. And now come to the UPSC. So optional is a low-hanging fruit. Just giving it, devoting 5 to 6 months, one will be able to score 300 marks, which is very difficult to score in two of the general studies. In fact, 3 papers of the general studies, student may be able to score 310, 15, and in optional only they'll be able to score 300 plus basically. So optional help a student not only to get into the service, but at the same time, it ensures its high rank basically.
Yeah, better ranking.
Yeah, so that is why optional is very important in the entire preparation of the civil service.
So now that we have understood how important it is to select an appropriate optional subject, I would like to ask you, sir, how is PSIR placed in this entire preparation?
I would like to answer it in PSIR term only. So it is very strategically placed in preparation of the civil services. I mean, one thing which most of the people are knowing, that it has a lot of conversions with the general studies part basically. Like in 4 or 5 topics in paper 1, in entire paper 2, in paper 3 that internal security part, in paper 2 in ethics basically, thinkers like Plato and Aristotle are widely used, and concepts like justice, liberty are widely used. So a kind of convergence with the general studies are there. And apart from that, every year 1 or 2 topics come from the essay. So here is another part where you can see the convergence. But most important, I always stress on it, is basically the role of PSIR in your interview. It helps you in 2 ways. First, it develops a perspective. To see a particular event or a question or an issue, it helps you to develop various ways of thinking. This is one important thing. Now, the second important thing, like interview period, you have to answer every question in just 20 seconds and 30 seconds. And none of the interview get complete without question on international issues and national issues. That is the core part of political science basically. So without in-depth understanding, answering it in just 20 seconds relatively become difficult. So this PSIR help you a lot in your interview preparation also basically. And I would say it has a communication, I would say it translate your knowledge in enriching your general studies where it is not directly connected, because it helps you to see the things from various perspectives basically. So I believe that it is very strategically placed in overall preparation of the civil services.
So it has been observed that in last few years, students opt for PSIR. So why it has become so popular and trending?
I would say if you go with the UPSC data, this 2020 data, the number of candidates selected through PSIR or recommended through PSIR is 154. And if you go on 2018-19, none of the year, the number of candidate is less than 115 or 120. So imagine around 12 to 15%, sometimes 17% of the student are recommended to the political science. This is one of the important, that itself is showing its importance. Now, the entire terminologies and the content is familiar to the student. Suppose someone is studying Indian government and politics. They already study constitution in GS. There is a topic like political parties. We are already aware of this. So this subject is something which is around us. So the connecting with the subject become easy, and without any doubt, it is very interesting, and people have a lot of interest in international relations these days. I would say that because of the social media and our media, people are more interested and inclined to know about international relations. So people have already a lot of content, knowing something. So in optional, they just organize it little bit in technical manner. They already have a lot of information. So a lot of students are taking this, and as I said that you can score 300 plus easy. I'm saying that 280, 270 is fine. Anyone with putting average effort can score it.
And with little more efforts, it can be about 300.
It goes beyond 300 basically. It is one of the reasons this subject is becoming popular.
Right. So, sir, is it that it is better for the humanities background students to take PSIR as an optional, or even the technical background students can opt for it?
I would say if you go with the previous records, so the record says that most of the high scorers are of
from
non-humanities
technical,
and technical background
right.
student basically. And as I said that the content is very relatable. Either it is international relations, or it is Indian government and politics, or even to the Indian political thinker. In Indian government politics, that is section B of paper 1, first 2-3 topics are related to the modern India basically.
Right.
So, whatever they study in GS, that content can also be utilized over there. As I said that content is very relatable, easy to understand. It is very interesting too also, and easy to write. Moreover, I would say that once you understand the subject, you'll be able to write and you'll be able to score a high basic.
So is it a myth or a reality that political science has a very vast and lengthy syllabus?
Again, I would like to answer it in a different way. First important thing, if you talk about the number of topic, if you count it, then definitely one thing that it is a long one. But these topics can be, just mentioned in one line. Like if you go in IGP, so they have mentioned Indian national movement. That could be written in one line also. But they have given with even Gandhian technique, naming the every and each Gandhian technique basically. So that could be. Even in one topic, they can write Indian political parties, but they have written like Indian political parties, comma, their social base, comma, their strategy. So this is how the subject has been described in a relatively long manner. Now, second way of answering is this. If you reorganize, I'm just talking about reorganize. If you reorganize syllabus and logically connecting the entire syllabus itself get reduced by 30%. Let me give an example. There is a topic mentioned in our syllabus is a Marxism, and it is in separate topic of ideologies. And there is a topic of Western political thinker in which Karl Marx and Gramsci is there. So what we study Marxism as an ideology is the idea of the Karl Marx and Gramsci, but it has been given in a two separate topic. I would like to mention one more thing. In another topic, there is a Marxist notion of the state. This Marxist notion of state is again given by Karl Marx only, given by Gramsci only, and Lenin only. So technically, by studying Karl Marx as a thinker, Gramsci as a thinker, Lenin as a thinker, you are already completing their notion to the state or Marxism as an ideology. So there is a huge, you can say, replica, I would say that repetition of the topic is there, are very much interconnected topics are there basically. So once you logically organize the entire syllabus, then it automatically gets reduced around 30-35%.
So sir, just because PSIR is such a dynamic subject, so how should the students read the daily newspaper and how to make their notes? If you can please help us with that.
So a first important thing here, I would like to define the term dynamic. Definitely PSIR is a dynamic subject, but that doesn't mean that foreign policy continue to change every day.
Right.
Foreign policy remain stagnant for a long time. What changes are there? That is event changes. I'll give one example. Like post 90s, India's foreign policy started gradually shifting strategically towards US, Japan, and Indo-Pacific region, which is still continuing. Only thing student has to know, what now new initiative has been taken to consolidate that foreign policy. So this is here only selective events are required. It is not that the daily newspaper you need to mug up or you need to make notes of it. It is not required at all. This is first important thing. Second important thing, paper 1, section 1, which is Western political thought basically, and Indian political thought, it is almost remain stagnant. So there is not much change in there except some of the political theory part where new developments are there, but that is very less basically. So it is dynamic, but this is not something changing every day or ever. And I would like to suggest few things basically. Over a particular issue, like suppose Ukraine-Russia war is going on. So from past 1 year, every third day, every newspaper published an article. So should student go for every article? I would say no. Just one comprehensive article analyzing the entire situation from various perspectives, talking about the Indian stand, that is enough.
So sir, we are starting with our batch from 15th of June. So if you can just tell us about our course and your teaching approach.
A first important thing, I'll be able to complete this course within the time limit of 5 months. It may be plus minus 10-12 days. So the time limit is one of the important things because along with the GS, one has to prepare optional. So within the time frame of 1 year, otherwise if I'll continue or if that optional continue for more than 6-7 months, so it is going to hamper your GS preparation for the mains as well as prelims. So first important thing, I'll finish it in 5 months. Now the second important thing, I believe to have a command over optional. So this reading and retention as well as writing is important. I designed my course around these 3 words. So during the lectures, classes are going to be most in form of lecture. Second part of the lecture is where I'm going to make you write something. And most of the lecture is going through diagrams and mind maps basically, which generally I say it is a micro notes basically. So a student can flip it at any point of time. That is all related to reading, making you understand the subject. Now the second part is retention part. That retention part comes through answer writing as well as flipping the micro notes what I made. It becomes difficult for the student to go through every time the entire notes or the booklet what we provide. So this micro note is going to help a lot to the student. And there is ample of doubt session. The doubt session most of the time revise the topics what I have covered inside the class. And third important thing that we go for answer writing. This answer writing is like once we have completed the topic and students are open to write. Sometimes I provide them questions and they can submit their answer sheets. I check and return them back. And once we complete the half of the syllabus of one paper, like 1A, half of it, then we conduct officially a test basically. So this way I just try to ensure that students should understand the subject, retain the subject, and give ample of time on writing to it basically. And for to save the time of the students basically, we also provide magazine basically that is based on PSIR basically, and all the new things which happens and get published in not only newspaper but in various websites like ICWA is there, ORF is there. We identify the relevant article for the PSIR and we release a magazine for this.
Okay. So, sir, this magazine would be a monthly magazine or how will it be?
This magazine is a monthly magazine and we provide the student as a part of our course curriculum and material basically.
Okay. So, apart from the study material, we'll be providing them with this magazine.
Yes.
Okay. So, I think, sir, apart from this, students don't need to have anything
nothing,
extra to read.
The class notes basically, the mind maps and the other booklet what we provide and the magazine. This is the whole material of political science. Normally, I would suggest student just focus on class notes to flip or to retain, go through the mind maps, and still you have a time go through our printed booklets and then magazine. There is nothing else is required basically.
So, what about the test series? When do we start the test series and how does it help the students?
We have planned 2 test series basically. One test series for those who are appearing for 2023 mains examination. That is going to be start in second week of June basically.
Yes, we are starting I think from 11th of June.
Yes, and I would like to add on the next 4 issue of our magazine is a mains special basically, in which we are going to cover PSIR syllabus in a most relevant way for the 2023. So this test series, and I would say that if someone follow magazine, it is going to be integrated to certain extent basically. And one more thing I would talk about my test series, because I believe just taking the discussion is not enough until unless you are able to provide feedback to the student one-to-one basically. And I'm open to all of students to come and discuss basically every and each question with me. The second test series what we are planning will be for 2024. That's going to be start by August end basically, or somewhere in August mid basically. And that will be, a detailed test series having more tests than what we are going to launch for the 2023.
Right. So basically how many tests are there? And
for 2023, there will be 10 tests. And for 2024, there will be 20 tests. Around 20 tests will be there basically. For 23, basically, I'm also planning for an advanced course basically for revise those who are appearing for the mains examination, and they'll be going through the important topics what I have identified important for 2023, and it will provide you all update specifically related to General Studies paper 2.
Okay, so when are we going to start with the advanced course?
Same, it is going to be around 2nd to 3rd week of the June basically.
Of June. And it would be for how long?
It's going to be around 32 lectures will be there basically.
So how can the students score easily 300 plus? Basically, what should be their strategy to score 300 plus?
Here I would like to point out 3-4 things. Before that, I would like to mention one thing. In general, when students started preparing for political science as optional subject, Main focal area of the student is a Western political thinker and thought. And 70% of the time student just give it to that. This is one of the biggest mistake. You need to think it like you have to score high. So if there is a division of 5 to 6 months, obviously it should be equally divided in all parts. For paper 1, section 1, it cannot be more than 2 months in any way basically. Now the second important thing, in paper 1, section B, this Indian government and politics part, it is actually ignored part basically. Students generally think that by preparing constitution and knowing about the current events and having knowledge of some of the national issues, they'll be able to write. Let me tell you, it is again a very low-hanging fruit. You can prepare this 1B part in a very limited time, very effectively, and one can score very much over there. So if student give a little bit more time to this 1B Indian government and politics, in which they already studied first 2-3 topics related to the Indian national movement. They already know about the constitution and they have to prepare this politics part, which can be done in a very limited time basically with definitely good study material. That conceptual clarity has to be there. So here student take a edge. Now key for high score is always paper 2, specifically 1B section. Last 4-5 years records of the students, those who score 300 or 300 plus basically, their paper 2 score is bound to happen 160 plus. I know few of my students who score even 172 marks in paper 2. Yeah. So this IR paper is the key to score high. Just imagine if a student is able to score 150 plus, 160 plus in paper 2, so going into 300 become easy. So if student keep on focusing on 1B section, they give equal time and go for a in-depth study for IR section. So there is a high chance that easily you can score. And 1B and IR. Now, what you have to do for 1A, you need to be a little bit more strategic. For 1A also, give time to the political theory part. Most of the students spend 70-60% of time for Western political thought. And political theory topics are significant in numbers basically. So this making a balance in your preparation and hitting or focusing on the right area, one should be able to score easily 300 plus.
So lastly, I would like to ask you, what last minute advice you would like to give to students who want to pursue PSIR as their optional?
I would simply say, if you have an interest in international relations, you feel connected with politics that is happening around, you are national level or regional level politics basically, and you have an analytical mind, then this is one of the best optional to be taken. Here, I would like to clear a myth. A few of the students think that here in paper 2, we have to study bilateral or multilateral relations with multiple countries. That is not true. Those countries which is strategically placed in India's foreign policy reach or approach. So you can count it, hardly 10 and 12 countries are there with which we have to study. And even approach of Indian foreign policy is not uniform to the entire world. I would like to differentiate it. Like when we are studying South Asia, so India-Sri Lanka relationship, India-Nepal relationship matters. But when we talk about Africa, so India-Africa relationship, there is no need to go for India-Tanzania relationship or India-Egypt relationship. So this is important to understand. The syllabus of the PSIR is very much in the line of the Indian foreign policy, specifically for paper 2. So we need to prepare relatively less.
I think, sir, we have systematically covered up entire optional and the PSIR as an optional subject. So thank you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us today. And students, if you still have any queries related to our new batch that is starting from 15th of June, you can anytime reach us. You can visit our website or even call our academic counselor. And for now, I would just say that keep doing your hard work and study hard. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you to all of you.